In this tutorial, you create a 3D wedge hat in Blender from a 2D image reference. This tutorial is perfect for beginners. You learn the basics of modeling, unwrapping, and texturing in Blender. So let's get down to it. So the first step is going to be to delete everything. We can press A, X, and delete the selected objects. After that, I'd like to be facing the front here. So you can press 1 to jump to the front orthographic, and after that we can simply drag and drop our reference image, our hat, and we can place it here. So I'm going to be using the move tool so that we can have it centered, for example, right here. You can drag it down, take it to the right side. So if we exit this orthographic view, we're going to be seeing our reference image. So what we can do to bring it back, you can go here to the object data properties, make sure that it's selected from here, and you can check, let me just show you, you can check this perspective. So this way you're going to be seeing it in both the orthographic and the perspective view. So let's start with a circle. So we can press Shift A, we can go to mesh, and we can start with the circle. So I'd like to scale it up, so you can press tab to switch to the edit mode. We can press S to scale it way up, something like that. You can press 1 to be facing it from the front, and let me just drag it up here. Just scale it down, something like that. So after that we can press E to extrude like this. We can press Z to lock the extrusion on the Z axis, and we can go up, for example here. You can press S to scale it down. Also we can activate here this X-ray toggle X-ray, so that we can see through our modeling. So let me just drag it down a little bit here, and after that we can scale it just a bit, and we can press E to extrude up, press Z, go up, for example here, and we can try to spin it. We can press R to spin it sideways like this. Let me just place it correctly here, press R to spin it sideways, and we can scale it way down. Hold G to move it, and keep placing it like this. After that we can do another extrusion, so let's press E again, let's put it here. We can press R again to spin it sideways, scale it just a bit, just press R. So we're going to be repeating the same thing. You can just keep extruding and rotating around. And basically we got the basic shape of our hat here. So if you exit the perspective view, let me just deactivate the X-ray toggle. So this is our hat. So we can do right click and shade auto smooth. So let's add the other details. So here we got, let me just select my reference image. We can duplicate it by pressing Shift D. And we can press X to move it to the right side, to the left side here, so that we can keep an eye on it. So here I'd like to add that belt that we got in the middle section. So we can press, let me just also press here, switch to wireframe by pressing Z. So you can press Alt right here to select this edge line, and you can bevel it. So you can press Ctrl B to bevel it, something like that. So we can take it a little bit up, scale it a little bit down. You can press Alt right here and scale that section up. After that, what you can do, you can switch to the face mode here. Let me just press Z, go back to the solid. We can press Alt and click right here in order to select that entire row of faces. And after that, we can press E to extrude it, and we can press S to scale it up. Something like that, it's gonna be fine. We can scale it also on the Z axis, so SZ, scale it like that. So now we got that edge line. We can also try to press Alt here at the bottom. You can scale that part inside, and the top you can scale it up. So next we can add this object that we got at the center. So let's press 1 to be facing the front, Z, switch wireframe, and we can select our hat, switch to the edit mode. I'd like to select only one vertex, this one for example here on the front, Shift D, and let's place it here, and we can extrude it to cover all those 4 corners. One on the bottom here, extrude again. And finally, in here we can just select these 2 and press F to fill that gap. After that, I'd like to select this object, and after that we can press E to extrude it, and we can press S to scale it way down. For example here, and let's better place these vertices. There we go. Switch back to the wireframe. Let me just select it by pressing L, and we can push it outside. Let me just push it here. We can take it a little bit up. Also, we can spin it on the X, so RX, spin it like this, and we can place it right about there. So the hat in our case, it's not like this. So if you want to make it look exactly like the reference image, you can just spin it on the X axis. So first we can set the origin to the center. So let's go to Object, set origin to the geometry. and we can try to tilt it just a bit on the X. So our X can spin it sideways like this. So this way we're going to be matching the same angle that we got in our reference image. So the next step is going to be to give our hat some solidify modifiers to increase the thickness. So if you check here, you're going to see that we don't have any thickness for the hat. So what we can do, with it selected, we can jump here to the modifiers and we can add a new modifier. It's going to be the solidify modifier. You can see that now we're adding some thickness. We can increase that up to, let's say, 0.25. All right, and on the edit mode, we can try to, let me just switch to the side by pressing 3. And we can try to spin this one on the X, so our X, spin it like this, and let's make it perfectly aligned with the hat. So here we do have a problem, so let me just check what is wrong with this piece. So you can just take it outside and let's see. So here I think we have to flip the normal, so let's try Shift N to flip the normal, so now it's fixed. Let me just take it back and put it where it belongs. So next step, we can bevel these edges, so now they are completely sharp. You can see that here. So we can add the bevel modifier. So let's select our hat, and here in the modifiers we can add search for new modifier. It's going to be the bevel modifier. So now we are beveling those edges. We can increase the segments up to 3 to have a better beveling. So after we finish modeling the hat, so the next step is going to be to texture it. So to texture it, I'd like to split my 3D viewport to 2 parts. From here we can left click and drag to the right side, and also we can split this window vertically again up like this. So the top is going to be for the UVs, so I'm going to be switching the 3D viewport to the UV editor, and the bottom is going to be for tweaking the material that we're going to be applying to our hat. So we have to switch to the shader editor, and here we can press N to hide this panel like this. So with the hat selected, we can scroll a little bit here and we can add a new material. So let's click on new, and this we're going to be assigning a new material to that hat. We can call it here witch hat. So if you zoom in, you're going to find that we have 2 nodes, the principal BSDF connected to the material output, and here we have the base color for this material that is applied. So if you tweak this color, so we should have it here. So we need to switch the 3D viewport view or mode from the solid to the material preview. So you can hold Z to switch to access this panel, and you can switch to the material preview. So now if you tweak this color, you're going to be seeing that updating in the hat. So in my case, I don't want to be using a color, so instead we're going to be using an image. So you can press Shift A right here, and let's search for image texture. And I'd like to connect the colors to the base color. And for this image texture, we can create new, and we can call it here hat texture. And for the width and the height, so I'm going to just give it 2K, so we can multiply this value by 2 to get the 2048 pixels. Let's do the same thing for the height, multiply it by 2, and we can click on OK or new image. So now we got the image. So next, what we have to do before we can start texturing, it's going to be to set the UVs. So on the edit mode, you can press tab to switch to the edit mode. If you press A to select everything, so let me just see the UVs, so that we got just a dot. So no one's going to be able to properly texture this unless we got the UVs right. So we can do, for example, an automatic unwrapping by pressing U, and I can jump to Smart UV Project and click on Unwrap. But this type of UV mapping is kind of messy, so what we can do, we can unwrap it ourselves. So what we can do, we can select this edge line, we can press Alt right here, Control E, and mark seam. So think of it like if you are holding the scissors and making a cut right here and laying flat the hat on a table. So if you select it by pressing L, if you press U, unwrap, you're going to be cutting it from half. So I prefer to cut it from 2 sides. You can also press Alt on the other side, Control E, and mark seam. So let's select that unit, press U, unwrap, and now it's cut into 2 pieces. We should also include this cube that we got right here. So let me just also select it. You can select them both, press U, and unwrap. So now we got that cube. We can select it and scale it a little bit up. Let me just put it here. And now it's time to start texturing it. So to texture it, we can switch from the object mode to the texture paint, and we can start painting. So the default brush is the white brush. So if you paint, you're going to be seeing that white. So we need to fill the entire hat with this gray color. So what we can do, we can switch to the fill bucket, and for the color here, we can click and use this eyedropper to pick this color that we got here. You can just select it, and here we can just click. So this way we're going to be applying this color to the entire hat. And let's go ahead for the second color that we got, which is this purple. So on the edit mode, we can switch to the face mode. We can press Alt, Shift Alt to grab those faces. And let's go back again to the texture paint. So basically we need to be activating the mask so that we can apply that color, this color, only to this section here. So on this selected object or the selected area. So next we need to pick that color again. So we can click here, use the eyedropper again, and let's pick the second color. And if we click right here, we're going to be seeing it here applied to the hat. And finally, we're going to be having this orange or this yellowish color. So what I'd like to do, I'd like to press Alt A to deselect everything. And we can press L to select only that object right here. And again, let's pick that third color, this orange color, and we can click here. So this way we're going to be applying those colors exactly like the reference image. So we can tweak a little bit the principled BSDF to make the hat looks better. So I'm going to just increase the roughness. So let's increase it to 0.75. Should not be having a smooth or reflective hat. You can play with the specular here, this IOR level. You can just take it down. So this way we're going to be having a more and a better hat. You can tweak the hat by adding some dots and tweak the texturing of it. So what we can do, I'd like to switch back to the draw, and here we can use a different color. For example, let's use the blue color, and we can add some dots right here. Let's do that on the edit mode. Press Alt, Shift Alt, and we can add some dots. But as you can see, these dots has blurry edges. So what we can do, let me just revert back. We can jump here to the fall off, and we can change it from custom to constant. So now if we click, we're going to be having some sharp edges. You can press F to increase the size or reduce the size of that brush. And by doing so, we converted this 2D image into a 3D asset that you can use in any project of yours.